Problem solving now. Identify the first and last stages of the problem solving process. Okay, define and review. Yeah, define the problem, and then the last thing is review. Describe 3 important questions that should be asked during the second stage of the problem solving process. Alright, second stage is define, analyze, right? So in analyzing, this is when you're doing a problem definition. Okay, this is who is the problem affecting. 2 would be what are undesirable effects, and 3 would be who is seeking a solution. Yeah, who is seeking the solution? That'll be the question. So who is the problem affecting? This would pinpoint primary stakeholder. The undesirable effects would show what the bad outcome is. And 3, who is seeking the solution would be bigger. Who is going to be involved in the solution process. Okay. So when they say describe here, you really just had to dig deep and pull out an answer from somewhere. Because we know who is seeking the problem and who the problem is affecting, and all those things are there. But to explain that is really like common sense on about how those things work, because there is no definite layout of that. Question is interviews and observations and whatnot. But the important questions I want to ask would be things that you got from the problem definition, because you need to be able to narrow down where the problem is, what is causing. So the data gathering tools is what you would use to ask the question. So this was a tough one to answer, because you had to remember how our problem definition is structured and that kind of thing. Alright, so Ringo is a rural cattle farmer. Over the last 2 years, he has lost animals to an unknown disease which has caused him to suffer losses. He was advised by some friends to consult refereed sources for more information about this unknown disease. How sad. Poor cattle. Ringo has never heard about refereed sources before. Identify 3 pieces of information that will be relevant for Ringo as he searches for refereed sources. 3 pieces of information. Wow. Alright, so now we had to hit this scenario real hard and kind of look at what you're looking for. So he was advised by some friends to consult refereed sources for information about it. So 3 pieces of information would be to make sure that somebody is a refereed source would be the level of scholarship. Level of scholarship could work. The currency of information, relevance of information. But just 3 pieces of information that would be relevant. So I can say relevant. Alright, so I can say relevance. Name of author, because they're not looking for the classification of the information. They want the piece of information. Like you would tell the person, okay, when you're looking for this, make sure you look for the level of scholarship, make sure you look for the date that it was published, make sure you look at the name for the author, make sure you look at the title of the journal. Check to see if it's a referred publication. Yeah, that would work too. Yeah, you could say the publisher reputation. All of that would be inside there too. Publisher reputation would be a good one also. Right, so you're looking for level of scholarship, date published, name of author, title of journal, publisher reputation. All of them are pieces of information that are relevant. Next one, outline 2 advantages of using refereed source of information. Refereed source of information compared with a non-refereed source. 2 advantages. Alright, so now we could kind of go with the not the pieces of data, but we could go with the reasoning behind it. The credibility of the information would be high, and that would result in the farmer making better decision, or making not better decision, making farmer having more confidence, having more confidence. 2 would be the accuracy would be higher, which would give the farmer a better chance at solving the problem. So anything along those lines would be cool. Data flow diagrams are used to show the flow of data through an information system. State two types of data flow diagrams. You have concept level and then you have level 1. Draw the symbols used in DFDs to represent each of the following. A data flow is an arrow. A process is a kind of oval rounded, or you could get oval too. There for both of them. External entity would be a rectangle, and a data store would be like an open-ended rectangle with a X at the end. Yeah, my descriptions are amazing. Let's do it correctly. John was asked to design a student's records management software package. After researching possible approaches, John suggested that he will use the object-oriented paradigm. Explain two benefits of using object-oriented paradigm to design software. Alright, you have, well, usually when you have object-oriented, there are three things you want to be able to state. You want to give them encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. Pick your poison. Usually encapsulation and inheritance, easy pickings. Encapsulation, objects contain code that is separated from other parts of the program, and that increases security. Then for inheritance, you'll want to say classes and objects are able to share attributes, making it easy to update them. Then polymorphism would be, what is polymorphism again just now? Or reusability of the code. Polymorphism means you can reuse it for other. Yeah, right. Yeah. Polymorphism, multiple objects. Polymorphism is the hardest one to explain. Multiple objects can display, polymorphism would be, let me say that again. Polymorphism. An object can take on many forms depending on the input sent to it. Yeah. State three features of any object-oriented program. Oh damn, I just do that? What did I do there? Alright, three features of object-oriented program will be classes, objects, and methods. Okay. So basically, in part 1, what they're asking for is the advantages of object-oriented programming. So the answer for part 2 is this. Any one of those three would count there, right? And for part 1, you just want to put basic advantages, I guess. So benefits would be the ability, and the examiner's reporting. You met any help with this at all, boy? The ability to reuse classes in other programs allows for code reusability on other systems. The level of security is high because of the encapsulation of the objects. Alright, yeah, so that makes more sense. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for the positives or the good things about object-oriented programming, which I think I listed out a whole set of them in the notes. So, Cleveland, I think what you were saying there, that would be, the answer there would be for part 1. And then for part 2, they're looking for any three features. So you just usually have to state the three features. Alright, they're making more sense to me now. So once you state encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism, you'll get the 3 marks for part 2. You don't have to explain each one of them, because usually they don't ask you to explain each one of them. They probably usually ask you to explain one. So that'll work there. And right, so that'll answer that. And then state 2 programming paradigms other than object-oriented, procedural, and functional. Those will be good ones there. Alright, not that one. Alright. Programming is the process of creating instructions for the computer to solve a particular problem. State 2 types of control structures using program code. You have selection, iteration, or you also have sequential. Alright, sequential, selection, iteration, you could say, or you could say looping, selection, or iteration, or looping. Explain one advantage of using a flowchart over pseudocode to represent algorithms. It is easier to understand for non-technical people. Yeah, and because it said explain, a little example will help you out. Example managers and executives. Right, draw the flowchart for the algorithm illustrated below. Okay, input. Let's start. Input n would be parallelogram, and then while n is less than 10, while n is less than 10, you have a yes. Your yes will be to input m, and then we have m is equal to m plus n, and then display n will be our parallelogram, and what we gotta input n again. I think we're not doing the size incorrect. Yeah, input n parallelogram, then we hit that up there, and we go there, and boom, while n is less than 10. You know, testing is one stage in your program development life cycle. There's two other stages in your program development life cycle that can take place after testing. After testing, you can implement and review, get feedback. Yeah, implement it, or you can get you can review or get feedback. Sounds correct. Explain two problems that may arise if program code is not tested before use. Alright, we have problem number one. Two problems that may arise if program code is not tested before use would be you could have logic errors that would give you the wrong output. That's not solve the problem. And two would be runtime errors may cause the program to stick or freeze under certain circumstances. Yeah, those would be good there.